Today we are talking to a laid-back entrepreneur who made over $12 million from one YouTube video.
I've been investing since I was 22. That video became my biggest investment, return on investment wise, over everything I've ever invested in.
His name is Jason Graystone. He's a very laid-back guy who made his money in trading. He spoke to us about his unusual take on goal setting.
Unless you've priced all that up, you haven't really considered having it. It's just like this dream.
He speaks to us about his childhood traumas that has made him who he is today.
There will always be things that I tie my self-worth to. Things like training in the gym, because I will always be a fat kid at school who got bullied.
And Jason and I had a few disagreements of how business should be done. I mean, you say it off the cuff like that you'd be able to do it, and I should have got off like 20 years ago. I'm James Martin, and this is all to come on Entrepreneur Conversations. I did some looking, and I understood a certain amount of it, but I didn't get all of it. So can you just explain for listeners and viewers, what is it that you actually do?
What I actually do is spend time tinkering around with guitars.
Yeah, that is, because that's what you really like doing. Yeah. That's a great answer. End of podcast. Thanks very much. Good night.
I think what I do is, I tinker around my house, but really how I got to that point is through investing in multiple different assets and trading, swing trading it started as, then I went into day trading, then I went back to swing trading. So an investor who creates or buys assets that pay me to be able to live a life that I actually want to live rather than...
Okay, so you're being very super modest, because the whole thing, and we had a bit of a pre-chat, I don't understand trading, and I've never it's never been my thing. I've always wanted to be in charge of my own money and make it trade myself as the mechanic of my money. And the idea of having you here today is to understand that side of it and see if there is common ground between a physical business that you run yourself and what you do. But if people look you up as Jason Graystone, there is a lot more to you, because you're doing online training for people. You're showing them sort of tricks and flicks of how to be in that market space and how to create this passive income with you not doing too much effort. Would that be fair?
Yeah, it's funny you say that you don't know too much about trading, but how I see trading is a speculation that you've got a skill in. So in property, passive investing might be buy to let, where you really don't have to know a lot. You can kind of let it out to an agent, they manage it, you just get the interest only mortgages and just do buy to lets, and it's kind of very passive, and your income will grow at a steady rate but not very fast, and you don't need to know a lot. As you ascend the speculation triangle, if you like, if you're going to flip properties, you need to know where the best place to source them, already who you're going to sell it to once you get it. You have to have a kind of how to do it up and refurbish it quickly and efficiently, and you have to have all that kind of, you have to know what works, what doesn't work, what colors and all this kind of stuff that sells. And you're basically injecting a skill in order for you to make more money by trading the property. You're flipping the property. You're buy low, sell high. That's basically it. So whether it's in property or whether it's in wine or whether it's in watches or guitars or financial markets, trading is high speculation where you're confident in your ability to beat other people in the game.
So there becomes a skill set within that area that you're working.
Correct, and that's how you earn more money. Obviously, it takes a little bit more of your time to learn that. But then there's this delayed income where you then make it. You don't have to do as much, but you're still earning the same amount of money because you're not learning it all anymore.
And then where did you get your skill set from? Who taught you, or where did it fall in line that you went from? Because when I've done some sort of research back on looking at some backstory of you were really in electrical engineering. So that's where you started, and you quickly found your feet in there, and you became very fastly proficient in what that area was. So to just go back there a little bit.
Yeah. So when I always wanted to be financially independent, right? I had this, I've always wanted security, stems from childhood of no security, but I've kind of always been driven to make money. for the reason of security. And from a very young age, I started investing, working out how I could increase my savings, how I could make my money grow, firstly just in index funds and things like that. And then I bought this program called Microsoft Money back in the day, and it had lovely little pretty charts. And I remember becoming a little bit obsessed with how I could reduce this time down that it would take to replace my current lifestyle, like the lifestyle costs that I had at the time, which at the time was tiny. You know, it was like 15 grand a year I was spending, and that's all I wanted to replace. So over the years, I kind of built my degree of speculation by investing in knowledge on how to develop these skills into how to buy stocks, and then how to look at individual stocks, and how to do well on, you know, small cap stocks even. And to the point where I got to this point where I needed to increase my income. So I needed to start a business because I needed to pour more money into the pot to grow it quicker, because the investment level that I was at just wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go quick enough. So I started a business. Then I had full control over my income. I could, you know, go out and get as many clients as I wanted, dump as much money into this pot as possible. That became very stressful, because when you build a business to abuse it like that, just to pay yourself as much money as possible, you kind of like need a new manager, but you can't afford a new manager. And then and it's like this sinking ship. And that's when I started to look at, well, how can I just take this one step further and make a bit more money? And that's when I was looking at like online poker, options trading, and after blowing about 40 grand in financial markets, I learned a lot of lessons. And that's after about a 3-year period, I became consistently profitable trading those markets.
3 years of sort of hiccups and cock-ups to get to sort of those scars in your back to understand it in a better way.
And I recommend most people don't trade. Yeah, most people don't. It's not for most people. Thankfully, I'm an engineer, very logically minded, process oriented. You know, it's like binary thinking. If I do ABC, X, Y, Z will play out eventually, and I can go through those motions. Everyone else around me, like my family and my wife, it was a very hard time, you know, to try and convince.
That's you at the coalface. You personally, you're the hairdresser cutting as many heads as you can. You can only do as many trades as you can. It's you doing it. I've always looked at the business, and you alluded to this, because back in the day when you were cleaning cars as a kid, you were having others clean the cars. But now it's just you doing it. So how do you get from your time and effort into doing it to getting others to do it for you?
Yeah, so in trading, I don't think anyone could do it for you.
No.
Trading don't. So everything else you can. So you can pay a Vanguard to manage your index fund, right? You can pay...
If you want to pay their fees.
If you want to pay their fees. Then you develop skills that... so here's how I look at it. You always do things that you want to do, right? So if your calendar's filled with things that you want to do and you're being paid to do it, great. To me, that's what you want to do for the rest of your life. I don't think at that point you subordinate to this idea of retirement, for instance.
Yeah, unless we think we know what we want to do, but have we had enough life to know that is the thing we want to do?
Well, sure. Yeah, a lot of that comes down to mental freedom, in my opinion. Trying to please and appease other people.
And was that the driver, Jason, from way back, that you wanted that independent decision making with having enough money around you that you could make your own decisions, as opposed to you've got to be there at 9 and leave at 6?
Two things really. One was the fact that, like the car wash story, which everyone can go and read in the book, but I kind of realised that delegation allows you to do things that you enjoy. And you still get paid. You might get paid a little bit slower, but you still get what you want. And
it's reinvestment,
you're doing things that you enjoy. And the second thing, which I think is really powerful, is my old boss, George, we used to drive to London every day in his van, and we'd have these big debates. I love debates. I love it, as you probably tell.
Yes.
But that's great. That's life to me. Debate is life. Like, that's how we grow and feel other humans. And I said to him one morning, look, I really want this Lexus car. I was probably 19, Lexus IS 200 it was. They were like big back in the early 2000s, 99 or whatever. And he was like, how much is it? And I says, £250 a month, finance. And he was like, yeah, but how much is it really? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you know, the wear and tear, the tyres, the MOT, the insurance, tax, fuel, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't know. He said, unless you've priced all that up, you haven't really considered having it. It's just like this dream, you know. So I went back that night, and I priced up everything, and I took it into him next day, and I was like, it's like £650 a month if I want this car.
Yeah.
And he was like, but now you know what you need to go and get it for definite.
Yeah.
And something clicked. I was like, that's certainty. I know that if I have that spare £650, I know I can have that car for definite. And then I also realised that car isn't worth that to me. So I don't actually want that car for that price. But then I went home and I priced up everything that I would love in my life. So I was like, right, what would my dream apartment look like or house look like? And I put this whole price list together. I took it into him, and he was like, you don't really want that. You just want that because so-and-so's got it. And I was like, fair enough. So
he was a good guy, wasn't he?
He was an amazing mentor. He's an amazing guy, right? And he was like, you don't really want that either. And I was like, all right. So in the end, I had this list that really accurately laid out what my dream life would cost.
Right.
And I think I owe a lot to that, because when I got there, I realised anything else after this is a bonus.
Yeah. So it was a reality check.
It's like contentment on a sheet that you're going for. And I think the problem a lot of people have is they don't know where they're going. So they just got this idea that one day everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. I did it, Jason, the other way round. I've only ever had one job ever. I worked for somebody, and that was for a tyre company. And I worked for Terry Shepherd, and he was giving me this wage, and then I times that by 12 months. And then I had this reality check that I have to be there 6 days a week. So it gives me one other day left to clean cars, do anything else. And I wanted all this stuff. And I'd already done that I want the stuff. And then I saw the wages and went, I need to leave tomorrow. And I kind of left the next day.
Right.
Well, I actually got kicked out. But I mean, there was no way that was going to cut it of all the wants and desires I had.
But it's crazy. When you know numbers,
Yeah.
it forces you into efficiency. It's like, well, I better stop that
and
now.
the putting it down on paper really does cut it.
Really does.
Because it really does put it in front of you, as opposed to these swirling ideas that you think that you might think you want.
Yeah.
But down on paper as either a list or a set of goals or a set of requirements, you actually get focused. And there is something about writing stuff down, isn't there?
Definitely.
Yeah,
also, people have this idea that one day they're going to be able to just have stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how? How are you going to have the stuff?
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know about Baddow Park Mastermind. I have created a mastermind for high-level entrepreneurs. There's only 16 spaces, and we've only got a few left. If you often find you're the biggest fish in the pond at other masterminds, click the link in the pod description, because this just might be for you. Now back to the pod. Now, when we read the pre-chat, we were going to go, how are we going to make this podcast sing and have loads of people hook in and don't leave now? And it was, tell us about this video. Tell us what it was. What was the number?
We did a video on YouTube, and it did $12 million in revenue in 10 months.
That is phenomenal.
It honestly, and I'll tell you this, straight up, I've been investing since I was 22. I've invested in everything from index funds to stocks to angel investments to property to real estate and everything, right? And in 2023 to 2024, that video became my biggest investment, return on investment wise, over everything I've ever invested in.
And what was so special about that video then?
So I sat down one day and I created this thumbnail. So when people create YouTube videos, a lot of the time you do all the video and then you're like, oh God, we've done all that work. We've got to put a thumbnail out, just anything.
This happy face just or anything, you or whatever it is, the vanity.
Just get it out, just do that. I created this thumbnail on its own without a video. So I created the thumbnail first and I put this kind of energy into this thumbnail and I thought, that looks cool. And it was trading for dummies. And like for the dummies series, and I kind of crossed it out and put beginners. And I thought everyone recognizes that. It was all the same colors as that company and all that. And it was like, that looks great. I sat on that for about 5 months. And then I sat down and I thought, right, I've got to create this video. How can I create a video where no one needs me after this video? Like, how can I create a video where no one even has any questions after this video? Right? And that was the challenge to myself. So I mapped it all out over our massive whiteboard in my office.
Why did you think that? Why did you think that then nobody else would need you? I would have thought it'd be the opposite, that you think, well, I'll make a video and then everybody will need me after that because they'll want to come for more video.
Right. Well, this is kind of the point I wanted to prove, but it was also this idea that if I could give everything away for free, I wanted to see how many people actually still wanted to work with me, or how many people just got so much value from it. Would there be anyone that would want to work with me? But also, I didn't really want to create lots of programs, and I didn't want to. I wanted to teach it to someone everything they needed to know, so that I answered every question and I don't need to work, right? So we did this video, and after about a month, it got about 10,000 views, and I was like, you know, it was pretty good, but I was at about 35 or 40,000 subscribers at the time. I've been doing YouTube for like 8 years at that point. And a few months passed, 4 months, 5 months passed, and I'm sitting in a pool with Daniel Priestley actually in Dubai, and my phone starts dinging like all these 1,000 subscribers. I'm like, what's going on? Anyway, 3 months from that point, we had about 1.6 million views on this video. And what happens in the video is I give everyone everything for free, so teach everything they need to know. And then at the end of the video, I literally say, look, you now don't need me. You've got everything you need. You can just watch this video 3 times, 4 times, and you'll be confident. But I get that it's all about implementation. Maybe you want accountability. So for that reason, I've created this 30-day challenge where I'll send you a video a day, and you'll be part of a group. You can submit your homework every day to the group, and you know, after 30 days, you'll have even more confidence. And it was 297 quid, right? Within 3 months, 0.4% of the people that watched that video bought that thing, right? So that's 5,550 people bought this thing.
A lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. So 1.6 million straight up. And I was like, wow, you know, and then it just kept snowballing. So we built another product on the back of that, which was like 899 quid. We had a higher conversion rate between the 397 and that thing because people were trusting me even more. There was about a 5% conversion on that. Then there was about a 20% conversion on the next thing, which was a membership. And we just kept creating these products because people just kept wanting more and more and more.
And why did it take, when the video first went out, why did it take those few months? Was it on the algorithm to get it out there?
Yeah, so funnily enough, like I'm an analyst, and I've been an analyst pretty much all my life. It took me 8 years to realize that there was analytics in YouTube, and I should probably sit down and take a look at them one day. I sat down, we analysed the back end of YouTube for about 3 days, and I just thought, this is obvious, you know, what needs to be in this video. Right. So we tested this one video, and that one video went absolutely nuts.
And have you been able to replicate that again?
Yeah. Each and every time we do these style videos, we do it every time. So there's a few things that go into it. One is YouTube like to see you as a creator that they can feel confident in, right? So higher percentage of positive comments, engaging with the comments, engaging with the community. The first thing I say in the video is, this video is not your average YouTube video. This is a whole program. We're a community. So introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from, and we're all going to work together in this video.
You've got loads of engagement. Yeah.
Already there's a lot of engagement. The second thing is I created a workbook for the video, which was free. And I said, I've created a whole workbook for this video because you retain more information when you write stuff down and read it back. So you're going to learn much quicker. Go and download the workbook in the description, not behind an email wall, anything like that. They just got the Google file, downloaded it. YouTube see that as you being influential enough to command an instruction and people do it, right? So they're getting a lot of confidence in you. And then there's lots of other things that went into it, like some smart prompts, like, you know, you're going to want to watch this more than once because it's a long video, so make sure you save it to watch later. If you've got YouTube Premium, make sure you download it because you can watch it on a flight when you've got no Wi-Fi. All these kind of things. YouTube just love you. They're like,
so you're bulking up, aren't you? You're bulking up the viewers and bulking up that.
Yeah. But it makes sense as well. So I'm not just saying like the video, you know, because there's nothing in it for them to like the video. But if you can make it logically make sense while they need to do something. The
most interesting thing that's come out of it, just on this conversation, Jason, is that you were able to say that is your biggest trade. It outshines any trading that you could ever do, is what you could earn out of that product. And that comes out of you just sharing for free, unless you want to go deep, and then you can sign it.
Yeah, what I realised
for little money as well. Because if they want to, I mean, that's cheap chips, isn't it?
Yeah. So the way that I had to build it was, one, look at, instead of trying to sell a high ticket thing, which requires staff and salespeople, good salespeople, and then you have kind of refunds and all this kind of stuff. I thought, instead of selling, let's just say 10 grand lifetime value of a client, right? Instead of trying to sell a 10 grand thing, split the 10 grand over multiple products, but make the barrier to entry really small. And then just, if you've got 3 products, make it into 5 and just split the cost over the 5, so that they get so much value from the 30-day challenge where they've spent 30 days with me for 300 quid that they go, God, imagine what that thing's like, and it's only £800.
Yeah,
I'll just buy that, and then
they're just going up the staircase.
They just sell themselves.
Education.
They sell themselves, and that's one thing that worked really, really well. The other thing is just genuine. There's like, you come across genuinely want to just give people stuff for free. So it's like, there's no agenda to make money from you, and I think that's really important.
And how has it worked with you talked about you're good friends with Daniel Priestley. You've been to NECA where you met Richard Branson. What is it like, that circle of friends, those close circle of friends? How much influence has that helped you?
Daniel Priestley's been instrumental in creating ecosystems of products like that. He's been a really great guy. We think similar.
His waiting listing is fab.
Yeah, so he wrote about me in Oversubscribed because of what we do, and I just follow that method religiously, because ultimately it's supply and demand, and I get supply and demand. That's basic economics, and if you can just have more people that want your thing, then you can deliver. You're not a commodity. You can charge what you like.
What is his? Is it Score App?
Score App is that's the software for the survey,
and it's cheap as chips,
marketing.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's cheap as chips, and it will really fly your business because it will give you the acid test, won't it? So any products you've got.
The great thing about scorecard marketing is you can get demand, you can get confidence in your product before you spend money creating a product. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have ideas, and they put a lot of money into ideas, but unfortunately, ideas are shit. Unless someone else thinks it's a good idea.
Absolutely,
So scorecard marketing, it's just like doing a survey. It's like, what would you like? And that's kind of how I created my wealth program, when I just hung around a load of entrepreneurs and I said, what do you do with your money then? And they're like, oh God, I've just got one bank account. I don't know, it all depletes dry. And I'm like, maybe you should do automated banking into several banks. And they're like, tell me more. And I'm like, well, then you have one for this, one for that, one for that. And you kind of start building this product. And then to the point where you go, would you be interested in something that taught you how to do all this? And they go, yeah. And then you get confidence. Would you? Yeah. Would you? Yeah. And then it's like, how much would you pay for it? What would that be worth to you? And they tell you the price.
Because, Jason, that is a common thing that I come across. We meet founders on the mentoring and masterminds that I do. And there might be people that have exited. They have this pile of money pushing them off the edge of a cliff, and they're desperately trying to find something that nudges over sort of 5% return. And you just think, well, that's quite simple to do that. But they've lost the will to be able to execute that money into the right places. And I think what you're giving them is somewhere that they can go and re-educate themselves and find something to get up for in the morning to do, and to relocate their money to earn them more money again.
I think entrepreneurs are great at making money. A lot of the time, a lot of them aren't, but the ones that do make money, as they get kind of making money and building freedom and wealth, two totally separate skills. They're either enslaved in the business, or they don't mind the business, but they've got to make that money every month.
Or all they know is that business. And then they do a sale, and guess what?
They lose their identity.
You're locked out of the business as well. They might lock you out, and then actually I can't do plumbing anymore, or whatever they might have sold. That locks them out. And I think they also find that they get into that worthlessness part of their life. What am I getting up for every morning? Because before it was the responsibility of all these employees and moving the needle, and now they've got nothing.
Well, they're paid on their efforts, but then they're not paid on their efforts after that, and it's like, wow, I don't.
When I was looking at you, you talk about ambition in a different way than I've heard before. Explain that, how you see that, because you're not that ambitious, are you?
No.
But it sounds. it's a bit of a contradiction because you've done so well, but it's kind of, well, no, I won't worry about it. Oh shit, it keeps coming. So explain that.
Yeah, I think so. As I mentioned to you just now, when I got to this place of contentment where I thought, oh, anything after that's a bonus. Having kids was a massive part of that. That helped me level up and appreciate new things. But when you get there, it's like I don't have massive goals that I want to set, because I've been really clear about, or really cautious about, not setting goals that aren't actually important to me. You know, not just, you see too many people set goals that are important to other people, or their mum and dad, or to impress other people. And actually, when they start to try and pursue those goals, they then get burnout or imposter syndrome, all this stuff. And that's just your body's internal mechanism going, that's not you. You don't want to do that. So I've been really cautious about setting goals, and I'm now in a place where I don't really have goals. I'm just on a mission to share the information that I think universally helps people. And as a result of doing that, it's naturally just unlocking different milestones. And
you'll get natural reciprocation comes back. It just
like bestseller book and all that, right? So I launch a book and it does very well and great. But it wasn't like me going, I've got to get to number one on. It wasn't.
I need revenue from this book.
Yeah, right. Exactly that. So my life is just now, I hope I can share this information with as many people who want to listen. And as a result of that, as a kind of natural outpouring of all of that creativity and love that I'm trying to put out in the world, I'll get reciprocated. And that's what I'm trying to prove happens. So that you can actually do what you love and what you're inspired by, and people will pay you to do that. And then you feel fairness as well. I have no problem receiving money from people. I don't have a guilt over that.
No, because you're genuinely moving them forward and giving them re-education to change what they didn't know. Okay.
Exactly.
And what do the thing, because it's in there. If you look up, Jason, you play this guitar. It's the one thing that you do spend a lot of money on is guitar. So go there for explain your downtime. And are you any good? And can we see a video of you playing the guitar?
We can maybe insert a clip here.
Clip here. Is that right, Ollie?
So I've played guitar since I was 10, but I love music production.
What type of guitar?
Oh, everything. So from, acoustic rock to pop covers to everything, really. But we again, it's a great example of making your business an extension of you, of what you love. So we built a YouTube studio, but it's also a music studio.
Okay.
And we create the music for all of our videos. So everything that you hear on my content is just me and my sons, like, creatively spending time on a Sunday making music, performing, mastering, mixing, and then it becomes our royalty-free music for our videos. Right. And then, it's all part of the business. So, it's great fun. I'm not a professional or anything, but I play. I do have a few expensive guitars that I cherish, but I love them. I love them.
I'm not an instrument person. I'm not into music that much. But I was with a customer of mine. He invited me to a gypsy jazz festival. Right. And him and his girlfriend. What was it?
Matt Carey.
Yeah, Matt Carey. And I went to this thing, and they had the world's, because they're their mates, and they were artists themselves. They said, well, she was a singer, and he was a guitarist. Oh my God!
Good.
It's unbelievable. Fast guitar work and stuff. And it was like mega. There was this whole festival, went on for a whole weekend at Rutland, and it was absolutely fab. I was blown away. And I'm not into it, but the quality of these guys and the passion and stuff like that, it was something else. So I believe that the whole thing of having something that you're passionate about helps outside of what you do day to day as churn, or finding churn that isn't like hard work. I don't consider coming into work with my teams and build businesses hard work. I just see it as my life. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Also, like, I'm one of those people that's like, all the gear, no idea forever. So I just want to be tinkering, learning, building things. And I spend time in my shed just building like a little remote studio in a Pelly case or something, just because I'm an engineer and I like drilling holes and wiring cables. And I'll just do that. Oh, it's done now. It's just sat there, not using it. But it's just that's the state I love to be in, just tinkering about.
And what do you see yourself Jason, in the future, where are you building towards, or are you not, or are you cruising? How do you see that sort of ambition?
Yeah. The one message I want to get out is like, when enough is enough, and building lives that are important to you, and helping people become more content. After being on Necker Island and speaking to some of the people there, you know, I know people that were born into wealth and got all the money in the world and they're lost. You know, they just don't know. Yeah. I also know people who are really great at earning money, but they have to keep earning the money every single month, right? And they're like on this train where one day it'll be all right, you know, and they get to a station and the doors open and they're like, oh, that looks nice, but I'll just keep, you know, next million, next 10 million. And then the train derails, and then the money's all over the floor, relationships all over the floor, and they think, I should have just got off back there. You know, that contentment place where I would have been all right. I think that's really powerful. And I think that's really powerful. I think it's really difficult. Yeah. I mean, you say it off the cuff like that you'd be able to do it. I'm a product of that, and I should have got off like 20 years ago, and I'm relationships down for it because I stayed in, because I do actually enjoy the fiddling and the messing and the building and the doing. Don't need any more money. I just love doing what I do. But whether I probably should have been more content earlier, am I ever content? I'm not talking to you frankly. I don't think I am. Still not. Still don't recognise myself as a success. Still look at myself with insecurity. Still feel all of those sort of feelings. I think there's contentment that comes from knowing that's what I wanted. I'm all right with that. And there's contentment that comes from our self-worth that's derived from our childhood. So like there will always be things that I tie my self-worth to. Things like training in the gym, because I will always be a fat kid at school who got bullied. You know, things like security and feeling like I need my finger on the pulse a little bit all the time because I need to control my little bubble, you know, because I didn't have any security as a kid. But if you understand... Why does it live so freaking long? Why does that insecurity live so long? I can't read, and it still lives every day with me as an insecurity to push harder, to push through. The fat kid thing, push through, the tease thing. Why doesn't it get left behind, just cut off? I don't understand that. It's such a big emotion. It's such a deep running thread. I saw Tony Robbins do something once that I didn't really agree with, where he kind of, with the audience, he was like, right, think of one of those things. And, you know, put it in a fire and then set lights, burn it, all this kind of stuff, and it's gone. I didn't really resonate with that, because I think it goes when you own it and appreciate it and love it and see all of the lessons and everything it's given you as a result. So the example for me was... Because they are gifts, aren't they? Of course they are. They're gifts of motivation. Of course they are. Yeah. So owning it and loving it is the power, I think, and appreciating it. So when I was in English class, Mr. Shillito, my English teacher, he stood me up in front of this SATs. We did these SATs. And I thought I'd done really well. I was a bit cocky, bit of a class joker. And he went, right, all the people standing up, you want to be ashamed of yourself, you know. And I was like, I wanted like the earth to swallow me up in front of everyone. And I was like, oh God. After that point, I was like, that's not happening again. So I went to the library, started looking at, you know, Excel, and I was like learning Excel. I became fascinated with charts and data, and then I went into Microsoft Money. And today, I've built tools in Excel that have allowed me to build revenue streams, become financially independent. Other people become financially independent. I've become a great investor, great trader. I've backtested, you know, financial market strategies using Excel. And when I think back now at whether or not that was a good thing or bad thing that he did to me, it's actually an amazing thing, you know. And the fact that I was shit in that class is a massive blessing. And whether he knew he was doing it as a gift or just being a bully, we never know. But I'll always feel like I'm not the smartest person. I'll always feel like I've got a lack of intelligence, even today. I think I think those, you know, and we have lots of people that come on and tell us that, you know, that backstory of being beaten as a child or not being able to read or being a fat kid or whatever it might be, that was the bit of grit that made them be that stoicism of staying in, and when it was all shit, they just carried on anyway. But I think as you get older, it's like the taming of that. But you still need to have it as part of your crutch to lean on, because you lean on it and it's hot and it still moves you forward. And I think there's that daily that comes into my world. I hate Ollie authoritarian. Like,
bank manager telling me what to do,
Yeah.
because it reminds me of the headmaster telling me what to do, and that was always from a point of I wasn't good enough then, and even when I'm with lawyers and stuff like that, trying to do a land deal or something like that, I'll have to say, guys, get off your high horse, get the language down to where I can understand it, because I need to understand it before we move on.
Yeah.
And I was very rude to a whole set of solicitors once. We were selling a load of land, and I said, you guys have got to realise I'm paying your wages here, so start talking like I can understand you, because they'd gone off on one and they were ignoring a point that I was trying to make. But anyway, they're if you look at that, Jason, they're my hang-ups that still live, but they're kind of okay because they keep me in the zone.
Yeah, right. And I always, when I talk about my childhood, I always say like I had this massive perception of a lack of security, and the reason I always say perception is because I did have security, I just didn't see it. Now I've got it tenfold, so it's just like a delayed security, you know. And it's like, well, I've got it now. So you don't see it at the time, but the lessons that you have then create who you are, and then that has its other challenges. So now I'm raising kids that have never had struggle, and now they're going to want struggle. So they make their lives difficult by going, well, I want struggle. I don't want dad's help. They want him to help me with that. I won't pay a parking ticket. And all these little things to like inject chaos into their life as a result of never having chaos in their childhood. So it's fascinating.
Good luck with that one. That is such a thing, because of how that next generation that have been used to the wealth and stuff around them, and those pieces of comfort of how do you get them that they are responsible for themselves without leaning on you.
That's where I'm at now.
How do you do it?
So we're I'm trying to educate them that it's okay to have a rung on the ladder. It's okay to have support and bypass some lessons that you don't need to make anymore, but really trying to make them make decisions, get a little bit uncomfortable, and that is hard. If my son is trying to make ends meet and trying to pay a parking ticket, I shouldn't really pay the parking ticket. I should go, well, you got to pay it. It's bloody hard to do that. It's hard, easier said than done. Or let them struggle. Well, you let your kids struggle.
It's how you let them struggle to what they think they're going to be allowed to get away with, or it's all going to come to us anyway. So what have we got to work hard for? We'll just wait for them to die, and then we'll get it all. Whatever. With Roy, my oldest boy, I did a thing with him where I'd match fund him. So if he came with a project and he was doing his stuff, he's all into civil engineering and diggers and stuff like that he would want to buy the latest piece of equipment, and he would come up with half the funds and I'd come up with half the funds, and then we'd go, why don't we not buy this and get finance? So then the capital can stay into where we need it to be. And then I'd educate him on that, that we could do that. And have you got a booking for the machine? Yeah, I've got 12 months booking. Well, that's going to pay for all the finance, blah, 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 and off we go. So there was a way of financially helping him, but also with knowledge as well. And I think it's very difficult for parents to, if they're full on with their world and their entrepreneurship or their businesses or whatever, where they're making their wealth, to have the time paused out to spend with their children. I think it's difficult.
Well, I pulled both my kids out at 14 of school, and I did have the time. And I think, funnily enough, of all my podcasts, 200 podcasts, the one called Why I Pulled My Kids Out of School is still to this day the most popular. So I think a lot of people want to do it, but they don't have the time. So that's a blessing, obviously. One of the things I did with my kids was similar, where they'd want like a computer game or whatever it was, and instead of giving them pocket money, what I'd do is I'd say, I tell you what, I'll give you £100, but you've got to do this really horrific job. And the job might be like cleaning every gutter in the house, cleaning the patio, and doing all these horrific things, and that I didn't want to do. And I'd say, you have to complete the job though. It has to be 100% before you get any of the money, and I don't care if it takes you an hour or a week, you'll still get that same amount of money. And they would go off on it. And what happened is my eldest son would start to influence the younger son. He'd be like, when I get this game, you can play it with me if you can help, and then he'd start influencing people, like building these team to get it done quicker. And I think it taught them, one, you get paid more if you solve a bigger problem for someone. Two, you get paid on results, not exchanging time for money. So it doesn't matter if you do it in an hour or a week. Three, you can influence people to get them on board to get it done quicker and more efficiently. And then when I paid him, he'd have to save 10% of it. So it was a lesson of,
Right.
So.
And they were probably going back to Dad's old thing of getting people to help do the car washing.
Yeah.
Well, so.
Yeah, it's great.
If you had the choices open to you, who would you like to spend time with who's alive? Who would you like to meet and spend some time with? Go have a nice weekend away.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was with Richard Branson for a week. He was definitely on the list.
Yeah.
And what a remarkable guy that was. Again, that was something that happened that I didn't see happening. It just unfolded as a result of, being
well, that was out of relationships, wasn't it?
Yeah. Who would I love to meet? I'd love to have a chat with Brian Cox, probably.
Yeah, I like Brian Cox,
yeah. I could sit and listen to him for quite a while. I don't really know. I think Richard Branson's like the billionaire all billionaires want to be. I think of the other, like Elon and,
I'm not too sure I could keep up with the mindset and conversation with Elon.
I'm not. But I always get a solemn feeling when I look at those people. They make me feel sad. Whereas Richard Branson, I just think of happiness and love and virgin.
Well, he's done it in a way of sort of having fun at the same time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
With the expense of probably not making as many millions and billions that he could have done, but he did it his way.
But his family love him.
Yeah.
And he's just cracked it.
What about someone who's dead?
Someone who's dead. There's a guy called Mark Douglas who was a psychologist around financial markets. So from that kind of selfish point of view, I'd love to have a chat with him. Who else? Prince, probably.
Yeah, I like Prince.
He's a very intelligent guy.
Yeah, he was super intelligent. He was very Prince
esoteric.
Was very understood, wasn't he? He was
way ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time, and he the rawness of how he did the music. He was a very interesting guy. He was up in Minnesota, and he had this campus of where he was up there. And I had a business in Minnesota, and we used to go past this campus, and everybody in that Minneapolis St. Paul area, everyone loved Prince.
Right.
They kind of knew him a bit better than the rest of the world. He was giving out tons of money to music foundations and stuff like that. And he died in a very strange way. He got sick, didn't he? Was it a mixture of drugs again or sort of something?
Probably
or painkillers or something?
It
was something horrible.
But very smart.
I would like. He's still alive. I'd like to go and meet Brian Tracy and spend some time with him because he was my first little book that I ever listened to, and he changed my world like that. To send off for the CDs, and they were sent to you all them years ago. And I think he had it was very mechanical, but it was good, solid knowledge to become a success and how to structure your thinking. I liked him. I like Obama. I think I'd like to spend some time with Obama. I think he's got quite a lot of sort of wisdom to offer. If you were sat in a room with him, he'd be quite good fun.
Jim Rohn?
Yeah, I like Jim Rohn. I listened to a lot of his stuff, and Brian Tracy was around. It was sort of a product of Jim Rohn back in the time. I like Jim Rohn. I think I liked the guy, and I did meet him, and it was Richard Bandler, and Bandler was the guy that came up with NLP. I don't know whether Richard Bandler's still alive, but I did a course back in the day with him over in America, and he was very interesting. He had a different. We don't want to be with the sheep. We want to be with people with different perspectives of work, and he had a completely different perspective.
Yeah, that's Dr. John DeMartini's my
I've met him here. He did a thing here at Baddo. He was a lovely guy, and we had dinner with him afterwards. He was really nice, and he's an interesting guy.
Very interesting.
His perspective is great, isn't it?
Yeah,
and he's got a great following. I like him, and I read his books, Jason. I do get a bit lost. Right. It's a bit highbrow for me, some of it.
Very esoteric, very
But he's I like. He was very good character and very good fun to be around. We had dinner with him with Will Polston here, and he was great fun. He was very generous with his time. They were trying to ship him out, and he said, "No, we'll just stay and have coffee." He was there for another hour with us. He was great. He was really good. Yeah.
He wrote the foreword for my book and did the Audible for it as well, which is incredible.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay. What why don't we do your book now? Let's get that out there. Get that up on the desk. Let's have a look at this, because how long has this been out, Jason?
So this came out on the 24th of July 2025.
Okay.
And
you can get this from all good
bookstores. We sold it's 2 copies an hour, every hour for 6 months.
That's very good.
Which I found out last week, which is, I'm really happy with. You know.
And what is the essence for someone buying that book? What do they get from that?
Basically, what freedom is. Okay, so I always talk about when you were 7 years old, you know, and you're playing out with your mates, or playing football, or whatever, and then your parents call you in, and they're like, "Come on, you know, in for bed now. You got school tomorrow, whatever." And you think, you know, when I'm an adult, I'm going to be free. No one's telling me what to do. And you watch adults become adults, and they become less and less free, and they become further and further away from who they were at 7. You know, where they really knew what made them happy, what they were inspired to do. And the big light bulb was when I went to Necker Island. There's 40 of these entrepreneurs that are like peak, top of their game. Everyone's aspiring to be in that position. They all spend their time and money on an island, climbing rocks, swimming, cycling, bedtime early, you know, dinner time stories. And it's like, if that's the end game and you had that at 7, you know, give yourself a pat on the back a little bit, because you've always got that available to you, you know, so your freedom is always there. What does it come down to? It comes down to mental freedom, how well you know yourself, how on your own path you are, and how little you let other people inject their ideas and idealisms into your journey. And then mobility freedom is how you structure your day, how you delegate, automate, how your calendar is filled with doing things that you actually enjoy, that are important to you, and delegating and systemizing everything else. And then how financial freedom will buy you the time if you need to stop. And when you have all of those 3 things, you're always free. And that's what you'll learn in the book. Good. Measurable, tangible strategies on how to improve each of those freedom scores.
Okay, so go and buy it is the message we're trying to say. It will change your life. There you go. the bit that you mentioned there, Jason, that I like, is to say about that freedom of choices. And I'm a product of that without reading the book, and I've not read the book, but it is that I now do take my 4-wheel drive camper van and go swimming in Switzerland or wherever I want to go on my own, because that's what I really like doing. Yeah. And I'm able to do that only because I've put all of the delegation, all of the wealth building that I can actually afford to disappear, and no one needs me because I've done those things. Yep. So it is possible, but it would be a lot easier if you knew that earlier. You need to know it earlier, because if you knew it earlier, you could start designing your world to end up in that way, to have that freedom.
The most common comment that I get is, you know, I wish I knew this stuff years ago. But there's also an element of, you need to kind of touch the hot candle to know that it hurts, right? You know, I can tell you it's hot all day long, but you're actually going to have to burn yourself a little bit, you know. Yeah. And that's it.
I invite you to have a look over my shoulder at my newsletter. If you want to hear about the things that grab my attention each week that could bring you value, sign up in the episode description. Now, back to the pod. Ollie, what do you want to do? Do you want to do what we're reading? What do you want to do first?
Shall we go on to Tombola time?
Have you got the jingle ready?
I've got the jingle ready.
Everything, amazing.
Oh no, we've got everything. We've gone to we've spent all the money.
This is great.
Here we go. Tombola time. Right, every one of these balls relates to a question. I'll spin it and you dive in and get one out, and we'll get a question, Jason. This is like a podcast you've never been on before.
It is. This is the best podcast I've ever been on.
Can you just say that one more time? Grab one of those out.
Right. Oh, look, 5. That is my lucky number.
Lucky number 5.
There you go.
Right. Should you lend people money?
No. So that is going to be a triggering answer, and it's not one that I would kind of unanimously say, but generally, if people are coming to you to lend money, you need to be able to give it to them without expectation of receiving it back. If you're not a bank, if they haven't been able to source funds from a bank, you're not a bank, so it's not going to work very well for you either. And I would say you shouldn't lend money unless you're willing to deteriorate your wealth or your relationships, unless you're giving without expectation. And that is just from experience that I've had.
And what
in
was
my
the
life.
experience?
So, for instance, lending money, and then I don't think we want to be owed or owe anything. I think it causes a resentment or a guilt. So there's always this kind of, you're one up on me, or I owe you something. Then you start avoiding the person, and it kind of creates this friction. So unless you've got really clear set of rules on like fairness of, I'll lend you this, you pay it back by X date, and we're square. For the most part, it's not a good idea to lend money. So my answer would be no. Obviously, there's.
Just do the question one more time.
Should you lend people money?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jason. I think that you shouldn't lend people money. I think it builds into that people know that you do, and then that will cause you a huge problem. I think that definitely give it if you're in a mind to do it, and it's someone very close to you, so there's no harm. I think even that is damaging, because then you've got this hierarchy, and that's good. With real true, your friends on one hand, you've got to work on how you do that if they're desperate and they've cocked up or whatever. But it's almost, I'd be more interested in going in and taking over the problem they've got off their hands, or work with them to solve the problem by getting the money raised for them.
Serve your way out of debt.
And do it in a way that actually makes them get educated to solve the problem as well. But definitely, good question, Ollie. I like
Great
that
question. Yeah.
Right, go for it.
Oops,
Okay. It sure is. Okay, here we go, Jason. Grab one of those out.
20.
Question 20, Ollie.
What is the best type of business to own?
Ooh, best type of business to own for me is one in something that you're actually inspired to serve people doing. Two is mobile, so you can do it from multiple places without being tied to a geographical location. And three is all the tasks in that business are delegated to people who are inspired to do those things, and you do the things that you're inspired to do in the business as well. That'd probably be it.
Yeah. Do the question one more time.
What is the best type of business to own?
I think the best type of business to own for me would be something that you have, I think what Jason said, you have some passion in it, so you have an interest to see it. The geographical thing, I'm not that hung up with that. I like to be able to visit a business if I can. I'm very much more into. I'm driven by the real estate thing. I have a funny thing about the real estate. I collect these red book valuations, and I have them next to my bed. And if I feel insecure, I get the red book valuation and go, how many million does that was? And how old is this valuation? Oh God, I feel secure still that there is £30 million worth of real estate sitting there. But I think I like to feel that I have that pyramid foundation that can't get pushed over very easy for a business. So we want to be in the service sector. We want to not let AI take our dinner. They're the type of businesses, I think, Ollie, that I would like to sort of have, that have great foundations and stability, and have moats around them that other people can't take them away. So that would, we made a video about this the other month, but like the house, it has a moat around it because it's where it is geographically and what it looks like, so it can't be easily impregnated, for a better word. Okay, let's do another one, please, Ollie. Here we go. It's Tombola time. For a very cheap jingle, I think we're getting our money's worth out of that.
I can make you another jingle if you like.
Well, we'd welcome that, wouldn't we? Yes, please.
Number 8.
Number 8.
We'd definitely welcome that.
What role does your health play in entrepreneurship?
Everything. Health is number one for me.
Question.
Health is number one for me, because if you are looking after yourself, everything, all of your circle of influence and everything gets impacted by that. So you're basically, your standards are set by how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror, your energy levels, and that is then reflected out in everything that you do after that. So health first for me.
Yeah, I agree, Ollie. I think that the health thing has been, I use the analogy that you had James Hunt driving a Formula One racing car, cigarettes and swigging a beer, getting in and winning a race. Well, that isn't what happens now when you drive a car. You're at the pinnacle of your health, and so you should be for running your business.
Yeah.
Your business, you need to be healthy, smart, sober. You need to be absolutely on your game, because it will. I'm repeating what you've said, Jason. You're just dropping down to your staff, your team, everybody, to the guy that's picking up the bins. That they need to be on form to serve whatever the business might be. You definitely need to be. And what's the point of having all of this wealth and then you fucking die of a heart attack because you're abusing yourself?
Exactly.
What is the point? And the longer you're here on the planet healthy, the more you can gift your ideas and knowledge back to people to give it back to them.
Yeah.
And that all goes round in a circle,
Big lesson from Richard Branson, actually. You get up at like 5:30 to go and meet, and he'd already had an hour tennis lesson. He would do the gym. And then
how old is Richard now?
76.
Yeah, I mean, come on down. Yeah. He's as fit as a fly.
He was the only guy on his pedals cycling up a 2,000 foot mountain. Everyone else walking their bike. He's just on his pedals. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's really into it, isn't he? He's great. He's a great ambassador for that.
Yeah.
Ollie, what do you want to do, baby?
Well, that was our Tombola time questions. I think we should go on to what are we reading?
What are we reading,
Okay.
yeah? Okay, leave that there?
Leave that there.
Leave it there, yeah, okay. Continuity, baby.
What are we reading?
So do you know the thing about this jingle? So we put this out for this guy to make a jingle. So the guy comes back, Jason, said, listen, I know you've asked me to do it, but I don't make shit jingles, and what you've asked me to do will be really shit. And went, no, we want it to be shit.
Right.
And he went, no, I'm not really. I said, look, we'll just give you all the money anyway. He went, oh, okay. So we gave him the 40 quid.
He said it had to be 30 seconds. Obviously, that was 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So he sent me 24 seconds just of music.
Of just music after the jingle. So we thought, he's great. He's that type of guy. Silly sod.
Amazing.
What are you? I mean, you're reading your own book. You'll promote your own book. But what are you reading? Do you read, Jason?
I do read. I've read lots of books.
Read or listen?
I mixture of both.
Okay.
Yeah, mixture of both. I've probably read, I don't know, 700 books or something.
Yeah.
I'm now, over the last 5 or 10 years, I've been more into reading the same 10 books over and over again.
That's where I'm at.
So I really dive into and study, certain books.
Because after 300 books, it kind of is the same
there's
message
universal
with a different
principles.
voice. Do you know what I mean, Ollie? It's the same stuff with a different voice. And you're going, and here
Apart
comes...
from mine.
Yeah. And here comes the analogy, and because the analogy comes on. So no, I agree with you. You need, if you've read all them books, hopefully that is different because you've now found that there's something else to listen to.
Yeah, there's lots of paradoxes in one.
But I think that the whole thing with, I'm down to probably what you said there. I'm down to probably top 6 or 8 books.
Yeah.
And I'll do them 10 times.
Yeah.
And I'm reading something again now. I'm back in another book, reading it again.
Yeah.
I've done Rocket Fuel in the last 4 months, probably 3 times.
Right.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
What are you reading at the moment?
What am I reading? I've just bought this and I've just started it. It is The Source. And this is by, just read that for me.
Dr. Tara Swart.
There you go.
Dr. Tara Swart.
Good.
The Source. I've just started it. It's been recommended to me from a friend, and it is all stuff to do with where you are with your thinking, to do with your health and how your health affects what you do day to day. And it's very good. And I'm into my health at the moment. I'm doing the swimming and losing weight and getting all things fitness, and more than I ever have just recently. And I think it has so much synergy with how you operate. And I say I run 4 or 5 companies with directors and stuff, but I still mentor them and steer them. You need to have good energy to make that happen, and that doesn't happen from being a sloth.
Definitely.
You need to be on your game to do that.
Yeah.
And have we done what you're reading?
No, what I'm reading.
What
So
you're
out of the
reading,
10
Jason?
books that I kind of study, what I'm doing now is reading a book with my son. So we're both
Okay.
reading it simultaneously of those 10 books,
And then having the debate.
and then having a discussion on a daily basis about what the book's taught him. And the one that we're reading at the moment is Atomic Habits.
Oh, yeah, I've read that. Very good book.
Yeah, it's a great book.
It's a great book, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't read that for some time, but Atomic Habits is a great book. We'll put that up,
Yeah.
Atomic Habits is a very good book.
It is great. Yeah. That's what I'm reading.
Yeah. I was reading a book, The Chimp. Is it
Chimp Paradox.
Yeah. Oh, I found it a hard book.
Yeah.
I've never read the whole thing all the way through.
No, I think Atomic Habits is the best one around habits.
Yeah.
And
that was about that, but it was...
Yeah.
I get little brain cells.
There's another one called oh god, the name's gone, but it's a really good one. About 1% changes and things like that. Yeah. Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Yes. Yeah, that's a really good one as well. Yeah.
No, I haven't read it, but I've seen it. Right. And I haven't read that.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one.
I think that Atomic Habits book, I think I still use that every day.
Yeah,
that's such an impact on me.
Yeah.
How long ago, Ollie, did you read it?
Maybe 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like make things obvious.
That's why it made it into the top 10 for me, because it's practical things that you will serve your life.
Yeah.
Right? So.
I think, and I think that the book grooming that we do, and you get obsessive about getting books down and under your belt and stuff, and people recommend books, and I don't even hesitate now. I just buy them. You know, they're £7, £9 quid. They're 2 bits of nothing for what you can get out of them. And even if you just get through and find one nugget that you never heard it twisted that way or said that way, I'll have it, because it's invaluable to just educating yourself and making yourself that much smarter of how your opinion is. I always talk about that. I love it when people's opinions can be changed, because so many people are just opinionated and they are just in concrete because their father-in-law said that they should do it that way, or they were always told that was the only way to do it. To have your opinion change is powerful.
Ray Dalio, Principles by Ray Dalio is another book, and one of the things he says is radical open-mindedness, which is exactly that point. And there's a great quote that is, if you empty your pockets into your mind will fill your pockets. Yeah, so it's a great investment, reading.
When I work with company CEOs and stuff, or founders and owners, the older they get, Jason, the more difficult it is.
Right.
You get a 55-year-old and you're trying to change.
Of course, like old dog, right?
It is. It's old dog new tricks. And to try and do it with this modern world, baby, that you've got to start doing, I was trying to get into a company. They needed to spend a big budget on social media. They weren't having it.
Right.
They couldn't see the results in the first 5 weeks. And I was going, guys, you need to do this for a year.
Yeah, it's a long
and then
game.
you'll see that you're not spending enough. You need to be spending everything. And you want to change your whole budget out of what you've been doing there in clunky land and put it all into social.
Intangible assets.
Oh, tangible assets that repeat.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get it. But there you go.
Yeah.
Implementation is my hardest things with people. And when they stop implementing of what we're doing, I get bored. I get bored easy. Jason, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed Tombola time. Book corner. No, don't say they're not book corner. What
are we reading?
What we're reading. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast.
It's amazing. Best podcast. Every podcast should have a Tombola session.
Time, it's good.
Sure.
But thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Where can people find you?
Yes, and Jason, if people want to know more stuff about you and what you've got to offer, where can they find you?
Well, if you've resonated with anything I said and you love listening to my nasally voice, then you can go listen to my podcast, Always Free, or just go to alwaysfree.com and you'll be able to get the book. And
YouTube videos?
YouTube, of course. Jason Graystone, YouTube.
Okay, and they can find you all things on that and get educated and what they can do with investing.
They certainly can.
Okay. If you've enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, leave a comment. There's someone you know that could gain something from what we do here. Pass the pod. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you on the next one.